Hey everybody, it's Mark Woody with TTN-HD Production Live Online.com. We're here at the 2010 Boston International Film Festival. Now we just got out of another screening and we just got done seeing In the Pursuit of a Dream. Now I'm here with the producer and the director of the film. Introduce yourself to the people at home.
I'm Candy Moulton. I was the writer-producer for the film. I'm from Wyoming.
Wyoming.
I'm Bob Knoll, and I'm the director, and I'm from Norwood, Massachusetts. How about that?
Massachusetts, hey, there we go.
Right.
So what's this film about for people that did not attend today's screening?
We took 24 kids from across the country. We took them out to experience the Oregon and California trails. They acted and did just what it would be like to be on the trail itself. The kids, I think, thought they were coming out to learn about history. I think what they ended up learning about was a lot more about themselves. So it's a trail, but it's their trail, if you will.
Now you said you were the writer. Now, what was kind of writing was involved in this?
Well, what we did is we wrote script scenarios to set up this basic storyline and the history and the people that they intersected with. Because as they went through on the trail, they met characters or people who might have been on the trail at a 1850s, 1860s time frame. So that's how they learned the history. And then we worked with
the kids didn't know what they were going in. So this is all like a side storyline?
Yeah, the kids, when we auditioned for them, they knew that they were going out on the Oregon Trail and that they were going to travel by wagon train. They knew that much, but they didn't know that they were going to be really living like pioneers. They thought they were going to get in a wagon and ride along, and they didn't do that. They had to walk most of the way, and they didn't know that they were going to be living in tents, doing their own cooking over campfires, all those things. So, yeah, it was a little more than they had anticipated.
What was the age range of these kids?
We had kids from 12 to 17, and they all had their needs as 12-year-olds as well as 17-year-olds, and they were very diverse. When we cast these folks, we cast them really for sort of diversity of character, and they all showed up.
Now I know for me, I'm a huge technology lover. How did these kids deal without Facebook, and how did they deal without the television, the internet? Because I know I personally, at 23, I could not live a day without the internet or my cell phone. How did they do it?
Yeah, well, I think that's really interesting. I mean, it was certainly a shock to them when we pulled out the basket and said, okay, cell phones, cameras, everything, anything technology related, it had to go in there. But after 2 days of working hard and having to work together and being out in really what was just unbelievable country. I mean, if you have never been out in the Wyoming at the West, we East Coasters don't know what it's like. But after about
we think New Hampshire's a vacation.
Right. Well, that's far away. When they started to get into what they needed to do, they all said to a person that they had completely forgotten about, their cell phones and all that, and that was fascinating. Now, at the end of the film, we filmed them getting them back, and they seemed very happy to get them back. But during the filming, I think they were so occupied with what they needed to do that they were fine without them.
Now, what kind of equipment did you use filming this?
We shot on a Canon XL H1s. We had 2 cameras, two sound recordists, and we had a couple spare cameras because there was no rental house nearby in Wyoming.
So you were on the trail with them doing this. How were the needs with production?
Well, the production was huge, really behind it. I mean, we tried to keep everything we tried to keep everything behind the camera that was production related. It wasn't always possible. We were under some very difficult conditions, and sometimes some of the modern conveniences got in the way. But we did keep the kids isolated from the modern side of the production. Though as crew members, we stayed in tents. We did exactly what they did. We ate their food. We were part of the...
So it's sort of like a survivor type where they put half the people and then they start mixing in the middle?
Survivor for the crew, too,
yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
So what did you think the kids learned overall doing this from this experience? Because this sounds really, really interesting. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
They learned teamwork. They learned cooperation. They learned how to be independent thinkers and how to work together in order to accomplish a goal, because they couldn't be going off by themselves. Not only was it dangerous, but they wouldn't get up or down the hills or just set up their tents. They had to learn cooperation, and when we took their cell phones away from them, they were freaked, honestly.
I would.
Right off the bat. I think their parents were probably freaked too, because their parents didn't know we were going to do that either. But they very quickly formed new bonds, And it was all about teamwork. It really was. And our kids, they're my kids, they grew up so much in 2 weeks. It was just absolutely amazing how they changed, and you see the growth of the kid through the time, and our crew too.
I think one of the things we should say is that we kept in touch with the parents. We ran a blog that Candy and I actually updated when we could get cell service, and we could post up to it. So parents knew what was going on, and we did post stuff, so they knew their kids were okay. I wanted to add to one thing that the kids learned. They learned the importance of the decisions that they make as young people are going to affect them for the rest of their lives. And that is something that, we don't think about. It's like, oh, I'll live forever, whatever, I don't need to pick that up today. Well, if you didn't pick up the right tool, they got out in the woods and they quickly found out that they didn't have what they needed to really get by. So I think a lot of the things they did learn decision making, but they learned that the decisions that they make really will affect them in the future.
Now, how long did it take to produce this?
Year and a half, 2 years. Actually, I think
We've been working on it for 4 years.
What was the time frame for shooting though? Like being out with the kids, how long were they out there for?
2 weeks with them, 2 weeks straight, week and a half of prep before that, and then 8 months of editing.
The 2 weeks, that sounds really amazing. That sounds like it was like a shock. That reminds me so much of like what like the kids back then in the 1900s had to do,
One thing that we did, we brought our kids from different areas. We had them out of Boston and Denver and Sacramento. And we brought, for the most part, they didn't have any experience in being out in the outdoors like that, which was very much like the people who went in the 19th century. They didn't know what to expect either. They didn't know where the trail went. They didn't know, what to take and what not to take. I mean, they had some guides and they had some certain things. So there were a lot of similarities in that way. And another thing I'd really like to say is that we did this film because the Oregon-California Trails Association works to preserve the stories and the trail, the actual physical trail. And we would like to encourage people to join the Oregon-California Trails Association, and particularly we'd like a younger audience, because those of us who are getting older aren't always going to be there to take care of the trail. So we really want a new generation. And some of our kids we know we've really captured, and we need their friends and your friends and everyone to really preserve that, because it's a national historic treasure. I mean, it's really why America is what it is today, because of the trail.
InPursuitOfADream.org. www.
You just answered my question right there.
InPursuitOfADream.org. We'll get you to the movie website. There's over an hour's worth of additional footage that didn't make it in the film. There's ways for you to join. There's ways for you to get right on the case. As Candy said, this is what the film is all about. It's to bend the youth curve down so that we get this message out. And I think they'll find the film really interesting. And there's a 5-minute trailer and a 1-minute trailer there as well, which is really cool.
Well, I want to thank you guys for stopping by and Stop On Production Live. This has been a great interview, and I think everybody at home will definitely get a lot out of this.
Thank you very much.
This is Mark Whittier, ProductionLiveOnline.com, here at the 2010 Boston International Film Festival.